Thank you for joining us today for a discussion on multidimensional AI and how it will impact Wall Street. My name is Dean Chamberlain, and it's a pleasure to be your moderator today. Thank you to the folks at Charli AI for putting your trust in me in that respect. Before we get started, you can see we have an agenda on the screen. After we set the stage on things with a few questions, we're going to have a very short demo, and we'll make sure that we leave some time for audience Q&A. Before I jump into our panel, I'll quickly tell you a bit about myself. My name is Dean Chamberlain, as you heard. I'm with RBCx. That's RBC Innovative, or I should say RBC's a team that works with innovative companies. We work with AI companies, no surprise, software, clean tech, life sciences, and beyond, providing banking, financing, advisory services, connections, whatever we can do to help you scale. So enough about me. I'd like to turn things over to introduce our panel, and we will get right into things. Joanne, let's turn things over to you. Could you tell us a bit about yourself?
Great. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the webinar today. So my name is Joanne Hemstead. I lead the service delivery team at Charli AI, and I have an excellent team who onboards and supports our customers using Charli, ensuring that they both have a positive experience in using the product and getting value out of it. As background, I spent my career delivering software in a customer-facing role in various industries. I think I started out with the government doing their payroll system or their payment system and supporting the press during the Vancouver 2010 Olympics, which was really exciting. But my role is often a translator, so I translate between the customer and the technical teams, bridging that gap. And I'm excited to be here today to talk about AI.
Good stuff. Thanks very much, Joanne. Jett, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Thank you, Dean. Again, excited to be here. Thank you for hosting and moderating. Jett Winter, EVP of Business Development and co-founder at Charli AI. I'm also an investment banker by background and a financial market enthusiast, and I'm looking to dig into some of these tougher questions around AI and Wall Street.
Good stuff. And Kevin, please introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about who you are.
Thanks, Dean, and good to have you here. So I'm the techie on the panel for everybody, and my background is deep into AI. I've been in the world of AI for many, many years, including past lives. I am the CEO and co-founder of Charli AI, but I'm still, again, deep into the technology and have really seen the impact of what AI is doing in the world, never mind Wall Street itself. But looking forward to the discussion here.
Likewise. Well, let's get started. Right off the bat, Kevin, I've got to ask you, why the name Charli AI? I get the AI part, but tell us about the Charli bit.
Definitely. The name Charli did come around for a reason, a very specific reason. It really is a play on chief of staff. And the whole intent around Charli is we all need a chief of staff to go and do the work that we don't want to do, especially in the world of finance where you're digging through data, you're digging through government filings, you're having to deal with the regulatory side of it. You just want to hand that off to your chief of staff. Let the chief of staff worry about it and give you the answers back, or at least give you the information that you can make some informed decisions on. So that's really where the name Charli came from. We did, interestingly enough, drop the E to be gender neutral, because I always refer to Charli as she, and my wife always referred to Charli as the hot Australian guy. So that was the inside joke behind the name itself.
Well, let's see if I can be chief of staff for a second there. I was going to say, let's get rid of that agenda screen and look at that. The AI can already read my thoughts. Tell us a bit about the business before we get into the nitty gritty. Tell us a bit about what Charli AI, the business, does, if you would.
So Charli AI really is in the world of financial services. We are applying the technology of AI to the world of financial services, and it really is about the Wall Street. And taking a deep dive into the analysis of financial information that includes structured information that we have all over the place. It includes government filings. It really includes a deep analysis of financial details. And when you get into the demo, and we'll show some of this, it really is how do you quickly go do a due diligence effort on companies that are on the S&P 500, listed on the New York Stock Exchange? These are portfolio of companies that everybody watches, but you really need to understand the mechanics of what's happening behind the scenes.
I see. Thank you for that. And my last sort of initial question to sort of set the stage, what is multidimensional AI? My son, who's a big Marvel fan, thinks it has something to do with Thanos and superheroes, but I suspect it's something different.
It is in a way. For those that might be in the techie world, you have known multidimensional AI for quite some time. Multidimensional databases have been in the past for business intelligence. A lot of the challenges that multidimensional databases were trying to solve back in the heyday still are real challenges, and it is about different perspectives on data. Other than if you're looking at the world of Marvel with the parallel universes, this really is different perspectives on the same data. It's the ability to look at it through different lenses, take different angles and approaches to how you're looking at the same data over and over again in order to do a deep dive analysis. And that really is translating it from multidimensional databases from yesteryear to what AI has to do. AI really needs to take a perspective. If you're in the world of finance, you're really looking at it the buy side. Are you on the sell side? Are you short selling? Are you really looking at all the angles from a market dynamics perspective? Are you looking under the covers? And the AI can really help you, but it can only help you if you're looking at all the different dimensions of how a company operates within its market.
Gotcha. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, your team invited me to sort of test run this on a demo, a bit of a pilot. You're calling it Automated Analyst. Maybe for our audience out there, give us a sense of why you had the Charli AI team focus on that technology sort of geared toward Wall Street. I'll open that up to anyone here.
I'll jump in on that.
Yeah, I'll take that one, Dean. So we focused on the automated analyst. There's really kind of three primary reasons. One, it's a very, very big market. There's a lot really sort of happening in this sort of automation in the world of Wall Street. And the research component is something that we found interesting and big and challenging. The second of all, it's a big problem. This is something where there is an enormous amount of data that now exists, and it becomes now not about the speed of getting data, but being able to sort through the data to get to the relevant nuggets. And finally, this particular application is really at the intersection of financial performance and regulation. And this kind of combination of these two really plays to some of the underpinnings of the core platform and its strength, especially around the explainability and auditability. So it's a market that really made a lot of sense for us, and it's something that I know that the team is passionate about. So we're real excited about
it. Just a little bit what Jett had talked about there. We are passionate about it because one of the things we've discovered about the world of finance, it's hard. It is extraordinarily hard. It's not the consumer grade answers that you might be getting today from AI, even if you're going into simple tools to get a quick answer for Explorer. You have to look at very complex data. You have to be able to put two and two together from not just the natural language side of the fence, but you really have to match it up to numbers. Because the last thing, Jett, I think you had mentioned as well, it's the compliance, regulatory. That matters in a big way for the world of finance.
You know, the other thing I would jump here and say, Dean, is that just to sort of jump on a little bit what Kevin said, another thing that pointed us in this direction we have, and we'll talk about it maybe a little more later, a really big partnership with FactSet. And FactSet is one of the preeminent, if not the preeminent providers of financial market information. And so that partnership combined with our underlying technology really started pointing us and thinking about some really big problems to solve in the financial markets, and another reason we got pointed in this direction.
You mentioned big problems, and it makes me think about some of the anxiety that's out there regarding AI, really any new technology, but particularly AI, which it seems for decades has been something that a lot of people have had some hand-wringing over. Do you have a sense, maybe you can speak to what you think the impact AI might have on Wall Street jobs? Joanne, would you like to start us off on that one?
Yeah, in short, I think there's still need for humans. And the reason I start with that is I think there is a lot of fear and anxiety around AI taking jobs. And I think, jobs will be affected by AI, including those on Wall Street, but it's more about changing the dynamic and supporting AI, supporting and changing jobs and potentially creating new jobs, which isn't always talked about in that space. And I think for analysts and Wall Street in particular, we're expecting AI to help with their productivity and discovering new insights. So if you think about if I'm managing a portfolio of projects or companies, there's a lot of curation of data and information that's out there that it takes me a lot of time to go out and do that research and gets very overwhelming. And where AI can help is to do that curation and synthesis of the information and serve it up to me so that I can do the work that I do best and what I enjoy actually, which is the analysis. And it can also cross-validate the results. So if I'm getting different results from different sites, either the AI can surface that or can at least help me dig into it further and get to the right answer. So in short, just to close out there, it's really about driving a different skill set, supporting analysts, but yeah, I think the others might have some other areas to weigh in on that.
Yeah, I've got a little bit more pointed view on the world of AI. Will it impact jobs? The answer to that is a definite yes, it will. Are some jobs going to disappear? Yes, they will. Are other jobs going to be created? Definitely. We've seen that time and again, not just with AI, but with other technologies. The big thing around AI is that I don't think people should fear it as much as they are fearing it. That's one that's happening. I think there's a lot more realism behind the scenes. But it is going to have a massive impact on jobs within Wall Street. Even if you're looking at a lot of organizations have senior analysts, junior analysts. A lot of these organizations may offshore a lot of things in order to keep up with demand. And that's a big thing around it. A lot of these organizations are trying to keep up with demand, and that's why they're offshoring. That's why they're really trying to pump through the data itself. Where AI has a benefit with a lot of the customers that we have talked to on Wall Street is that it increases capacity. That's the big thing. It has now increased capacity, and it's increased capacity with a level of trust and veracity around what they're trying to do. So they no longer have to just offshore the data grunt work that Joanne was talking about, which we hate doing. Everybody hates it. Nobody wants to read a 100 to 200 page 10K filing and go through that time and again every single quarter. So this is where AI has a massive benefit. Now, where it shifts the market is it shifting it into more critical thinking on the part of the analysts. And I'm an analyst myself, might not be a financial analyst, but I'm getting there. But I've been an analyst my entire life, and I'm absolutely flabbergasted at what the AI can do for me as an analyst and what it can help me surface. And it's allowing me to focus in on critical thinking rather than just digging up the data that you'd spend a lot of time on. So yes, there will be an impact on jobs, but a shift in the market. And I think that's what companies have to be prepared for. It's a shift.
You make me think about how this tech is really essentially a force multiplier, right? It can allow fewer people to do more work, and it kind of reminds me of toward the end of last century when I started working in the bank as a teller, and I remember having this sweet old lady saying, "Oh, I know I could do this at the machine, but I don't want you to lose your job." And I was letting her know that, no, it's okay. The bank machines, the people that service them, I think make more than I do as a teller. Don't be worried about that tech. And how we all bank and transact is so different today. So I don't see that pace of change, that rate of change stopping anytime soon. We're always looking for more efficient ways to do things. So we've talked a bit about the impact that AI might have on jobs. Let's talk about the impact it might have on the market. I know this is a very broad question, and please, to all of our panelists, jump in as you like. But can you give me your sense of how you might predict AI affecting the markets?
Oh, yeah, I'll take this one, Dean. So if we want to take a look at how AI may affect the markets, I'll start with sort of the premise that markets are extremely efficient at processing and understanding information that it knows. So it's sort of a function of a market. The problem and the challenge is the market does not know all available information. And this is pretty much proven by the fact that there are firms and people that can beat the market and can consistently beat the market. And a lot of times it's because they have underlying information or technologies that they can apply to these problems. With some of the new AI coming out, you're going to now begin to see the democratization of some of these technologies, putting the power in the hands of more people that will allow them to get insights. I can share a specific example. I was teaching a finance course on Friday, and we were dissecting the recent ARM, the ARM earnings announcement, which came out Wednesday night. And ARM came out and beat their numbers, and they came in with a slightly softer forecast. The stock was trading at about 108 when it closed on Wednesday. It opened up and went down as low as 95 on Thursday, only to rebound again on Friday back to 108. So in a really a 2-day span, met their numbers, slightly soft on the forecast. So through the class, we went back and dissected this. What the hell happened here? What would happen? Would you sell it at down 14, or what would you do? We looked then at how AI sort of interpreted this. Within one sentence, it summarized everything that you needed to know. And that was ARM beat their earnings. They remain a very strong company. All they did was move the range around slightly for their forecast. And it tells you right there, that particular insight, still a great company, either stay with them or buy low. And so it was a really insightful insight. And I wasn't really planning to really show that in the class. But as we went through and dissected the chart, it was crystal clear. AI summarized it all in one sentence. So this isn't me scanning filings and doing all, just one sentence. It was simply summarized for you right there. If you just followed that one sentence, it was an amazing buying opportunity, or at least be smart enough to hold the stock.
One of the things that Jett mentioned there was democratization of the information. And I think that's something that shouldn't be taken lightly. I think that is going to be one of the biggest impacts from AI. And that is really the ability of people to absorb information without getting overloaded and to do a deeper dive. And that means more people are going to have access to valuable information and make more informed decisions, which has a net benefit, but it also is the one that's going to be driving a shift. Even if you're looking at large investment banks versus mid-market versus smaller, it does, in a way, level the playing field, but that itself actually drives a bit more innovation, but it also has an impact on the markets and how the markets can move. Now that people have more access to valuable, and I can't say it as well as Joanne says it, synthesized information.
I was going to say, even I'm newer to the financial space, and it's piqued a curiosity that I've got, of diving into this information. Because finally, for me, I can understand it rather than just being overwhelmed with the information that's out there. So there's some benefits for sure.
Very nice. So we were talking a bit about sort of predictable use of AI and getting out of that what you expect. But let's dive into maybe something that's a bit harder to quantify, which is the known unknowns. What do you think we're going to be? What new insights? What might AI help us find that right now maybe it's hard to predict or even comment on?
Yeah, well, we don't know.
Yeah.
Kevin. Yeah.
Oh, that's too easy.
But that's good what Joanne brought up. A lot of times you're overloaded with information, so there's a lot of things you just don't focus in on. And those are key insights that can drive pretty phenomenal decisions. And a good example, even to what Jett was talking about earlier, insights that we have seen is why is there some volatility in the share price, for example, when you look at the fundamentals versus you look at market sentiment. And there is some differences of opinion. But the AI allows you to go and see under the covers and discover things that you might not have considered on a company, for example, that's going through a restructuring and reorganizing in order to come out better. We've seen that with some of the organizations that we're looking at, and the AI has actually pointed us to some signals, if you will, in the noise. And those signals and the noise are insider buys of the stock, because there is an effective reorganization that's happening. A lot of this information has to get disclosed in 10K filings. And if I go back to those 10K filings, I'd love to know how many people in the audience love going through those month after month after month. They're pretty tedious. And it doesn't matter what's an S1, 10K, or even you're looking at the Form 4, the 13G, and there's so many different filings that have to happen that there's good signals there. But finding that signal in the noise is actually quite hard. So the insights come in our world, the AI surfaces the insights in different ways. We've got some charts and graphs on signals that you might have missed. Hey, you didn't think about this. And I can actually show some of those as we're going through. I don't want to do a full demo. I actually want to bring it back to reality of what AI can do. But it really is some pretty hidden insights. Now, on the democratization, if you're a top tier financial analyst that you're doing this day in, day out, you're looking at it, sometimes you can get tired of it, you can get complacent. So those insights can jog your memory to go look at something. For those that are really looking at increasing capacity, those insights now allow you to get to decisions faster. And those are powerful things that AI is surfacing that you wouldn't have had with tools before.
Good stuff. When I think about some of the machine learning and AI that I think most of us have been using for years and years, search engines and so forth, there's always a little question in the back of my mind which is, how good are these results? What's the veracity here? Can I trust in these results? And when I think about money's very emotional for most of us. So to me, there's a little bit of oil and water there. How do you maintain the trust in the tech and the platform and in the results? Could you speak to that a little bit? Because certainly in our world, trust is everything. Without trust, we're out of business. Give me some feedback from your perspective, if you don't mind.
So I'll take this one, Dean. So I'll come out pretty boldly and say, do not trust AI, especially as it pertains to financial information. And I'll give you a specific example that happened last week. I was contacted by a large customer looking for a piece of financial information, very precise numeric information. I, at that time, had 3 different AI programs up and running. I got 3 different answers. Okay, so am I going to go back to this customer and give them 3 different answers? And the answer, of course, is no. So how can I sort through this? Because I do want to turn AI on for this type of stuff because it can be super helpful. So I'm going to need 2 things. One, I'm going to need some confidence indicator on how confident the AI is with that particular result. And finally, I'm going to need to be able to understand very quickly where that number came from. So I need source documentation. Once I was able to confirm that information, I realized that the platform that I was looking at, one of the platforms, which happens to be our product, was correct. And that's what I sent off, and off we went. So I'm going to look for confidence scores, and I need full auditability of where that decision, where that data come from. And I need that to be available to me forever, because I'm on the hook as a human being for that decision. The AI is not. So I need to make sure that if I'm ever called to question, I can provide the full disclosure as to how everything was generated.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting, sorry to interrupt, I just wasn't expecting someone who works in AI to say, don't trust AI, but what you said makes sense. Sorry, Joanne, you go ahead, and then Kevin will toss it to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm a little bit softer in my answer because I'm a little bit more like on the human side, right? Is that if I've got a new employee, I don't trust them necessarily right off the bat either. And so I build that trust through interaction and verifying their results. So it's a little bit where Jett got to in terms of same with human interaction, same with the AI. I want to know where is it getting its source and how is it getting its source of data, and those are really important things to surface. And not only in the immediate term, but also 3 or 4 months, I might not remember what that was. So having that history as well and understanding that traceability later in the future is really important.
I completely agree, both with Jett and Joanne. Trust is earned. Trust is earned with AI as well, and we can't forget about that. So if we look at this, might be a good time to just jump into talking about demo. So hopefully my screen is being shared. I'm not going to get into a full thing. I do want to talk about the trust element. Any AI that you are using, especially in the world of finance, you have to know, just what Joanne said, you have to know where the information is coming from and how it's getting the information. It just can't be citing some random sources. You actually have to know exactly where that information is coming from. It's part of the reason we like being in a regulated market, and the regulations are tightening up. So auditability. So to go back to even what Jett was saying, it's important to know that information on how the AI made a decision can be fetched and understood 3 years after the fact. A lot of financial organizations have regulatory requirements around data retention. Investment bankers are on the hook for decisions that are going to be made, and it's important for them to establish trust. If we look at just sampling of this is my production account, and I'm looking at different companies for different reasons, and I'm managing a portfolio of companies, and I want to know different information about these. One of the ones I looked into today was Johnson & Johnson, which is pretty interesting. And if I go here and I look at it, I know a lot of the AI results that are coming up from our AI digging up information. And we have to know where that information is coming from in order for us to trust it. And one of the things I dove into, if you're talking about insights, one of the insights that was brought up was biosimilars. And biosimilars are impacting Johnson & Johnson for particular reasons. So I need an analytical view of the world of how important this is. And the AI highlighted right away, about 12.8%. So they've got diversification within their product portfolio to really address the biosimilars that might be coming out. But the AI also highlighted the fact that the patents are expiring, which may give some competitive pressures back to Johnson & Johnson. Now, to go to the veracity of the information, where did you get this from? So we have this concept of verified by AI of, I got this from direct sources, including the 10K filing and including FactSet. So to go back to trust, the reason that we partnered with FactSet is to establish trust in the data that we're getting. We want that consistency. We want the trust. We want to be able to ensure the veracity of anything that's proven out there. So we can now go and say the AI is pulling it from the 10K and pulling it from the FactSet, and it's cross-referencing everything. Versus the same question I asked, but I wanted more of a market sentiment view of the world, which means I need a different perspective. This is the multi-dimensions, the parallel universe, if you will. And in this particular case, if I click on it, where did you get this information? Again, I need to know exactly where you got it, how you got it, and how you're using that information. And the AI pulls that up for you. So you can verify everything that the AI is getting to earn the trust. Now, the other interesting one, if I go down even into their earnings call, because a lot of companies will do their earnings call, nobody wants to sit through them. You want the synopsis, the Cliff Note version, but you wanted to know key points and insights. What's important? So there's a lot of things talked about, but what's important for me? And you can see here that the AI is throwing out some nice terms, very similar to what you might be seeing for consumer grade AI and large language models. They're just pumping things out. These numbers have to be accurate. They better be accurate. They have to be accurate. And this is really where we focused a lot on, because if I click on this to do verified, just the earnings call, it had to listen to it, it had to synthesize it, but it had to cross-reference it to the 10K and to the FactSet information and to anything else that's coming off the street accounts detail. And that's where the power of multidimensional comes in, is really from a compliance and regulatory perspective, you can prove that this is accurate. And not to blindly trust it, we want to make this visible. You can see here, I can click in, I can go deeper if I want to, but the idea is to allow the analysts to interact with the AI so that the AI can earn its trust on anything that's producing.
Good stuff. Thanks for that, Kevin. And for anyone that might have joined us a bit late, or if you had any audio problems, just a reminder that we're going to start questions. If you have a question, you can write that into the chat in LinkedIn, and we'll do our best to read that. And we can also go a few minutes over to make sure that we get to all of those. And I think I'm being told we have a question around FactSet. Can you talk about FactSet? How you, I guess, the significance of FactSet, I guess, as it relates to Charli AI.
Sure, I could take this one to start, Dean. So FactSet is a very important partner of ours. We've already mentioned the need for trust in the data, and we find their data is, they're a preeminent provider of financial market data, and we're able to access, I think, up to 8 different APIs covering both qualitative and quantitative data. And ultimately, we have access to over 1 million securities that sit inside the FactSet repositories that we can analyze. And as we've talked about further, a lot of the analysis and cross-referencing and so on, that really is part of the power of the platform. It comes from being able to have that trusted data and then to be able to link it to other data. And so FactSet they really are an important component of what the experience is with the automated analyst.
Okay, thank you. Another question here regarding regulation. Is this going to spur regulation?
I'll jump
on regulation around AI in Wall Street, yeah. I think is.
So for me, regulation is needed. It's definitely needed because there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of bad AI. There's a lot of unknowns around how people are using AI. And I think this is where the regulations matter. Even if you look at the consumer side of the world, the AI has the ability to suck up a lot of data and regurgitate that information. So it could expose information you don't want to get exposed. People have to use information ethically because people will abuse that in many different ways. And a lot of those ways are just unfortunate ways that have exposed themselves that weren't intentional. So the unintentional elements of that exist. And this is where regulations are now coming up around data privacy, data usage, all of those. And I think they're necessary. Even if we look at ourselves as consumers, we don't want our information just freely used. Just don't go use it, expose it. You have to use it responsibly. And this is where I think regulations are a must for people. And we see that with Europe already there. The US has got blueprints, executive orders, and in Canada, they've got the Bill C-27 that actually is going to come in later this year. So very needed in the world of AI.
Stuff. Do you think that, what do you think the sentiment out there is? And this is the question, I think, for all three of you. When you talk to friends, family, other folks, what's the sense? Are people anxious about AI? Do they think it's good? Do they think it's bad? Would kind of like your opinions on that.
So I can start with this one, Dean. I think you're going to give the classic answer here. It depends, right? It's going to depend on the type of AI, who's orchestrating the AI, and is this in the hands of bad actors or people trying to do good? Yeah. I take the belief that AI in general is good, but at this point it's highly misunderstood. And it's been so much sort of new sort of onslaught of press and coverage around it that I think people are going a little bit off track and don't really understand what's going on. But it really, at the end of the day, is a tool that we can use to do some really amazing things. Now, I would like to highlight two things that I think we all need to be aware of. The ability for the AI to detect anomalies and discrepancies in data is pretty mind-numbing. And that can go vice versa, right? You can use it on behalf of executing a job or a research project, but then that can also be used the other way, coming back and researching you or activity you're doing. So it does have some interesting perspectives that I think are going to play out in a pretty interesting way in the fairly near future, because the underlying technology is there and available to find a lot of these anomalies or discrepancies, and even bad actors, even criminal type activity can be found. I mean, by turning the AI loose. So you're gonna see some really interesting transformative things happening in our society fairly soon.
If I'm not mistaken, some universities have been using that for a while to weed out folks that were copying and pasting from Wikipedia in their essay submissions. So maybe along those lines, fair to say?
Could be, yeah. I was pulled aside by someone who was on a board, a public company board, and had suspected fraud, had suspected a pump and dump scheme where they were pumping the stock up, dumping it, and then disclosing after the fact information that would have kept the stock down. And this person went through manual effort to pull all the filings and was able to confirm it, reported it to the SEC. They didn't necessarily do anything on it. And Kevin and I and Joanne were asked, what could your AI do in this case? And we looked at it and said, we could find it right away. So stay tuned for additional capabilities coming out where you're going to be able to find these kind of bad actors by using AI in the right way.
Yeah, it's,
I've got a.
Sorry, just
go ahead, Kevin.
To the point that Joe was talking about, AI is a very, very powerful tool used the right way. Now, when family and friends come and talk to me about it, it's interesting because after I roll my eyes, because everybody's got the hype cycle view of the world of AI, it's taken over. It could be the Hollywood version of AI. AI is not there at all. It's not even close to being at that. I remind a lot of family and friends that it's a powerful tool. It's not intelligent. Don't mistake it for intelligence at all. There's no critical thinking happening in these large language models that you're seeing, or any of that AI. The intelligence comes with the humans that are using it. So make sure the humans are doing the right thing with the tool. It's a very powerful tool, but in the hands of Jett said, in the hands of bad actors, it could be used for other purposes as well.
Yeah, evil people will use AI to do evil things, and they've done that for years with or without AI. So they'll continue to do so, is kind of the way I look at it. But I think there's a lot of fear just because people don't know, and so their experience is that they're talking to someone who is intelligent with the AI, and so that certainly leads to a lot of fear and anxiety for people. But I found with my family and friends, as soon as I give them a little bit of a background and they go, oh, that's not so bad, and then I think it's more about us as consumers deciding how do we want to use AI. And there's ways that we've talked about for curation of data and synthesizing data, or there's ways to do it badly. And so I think the power is really in our hands to choose how and what we want to use AI for.
And we've just got another fresh question here regarding how can the younger generation adapt to this new tech to build the necessary skills to operate with bigger companies and to stand out in the job applicant pool while trying to prepare for the roles for the future using AI. So a question for that next generation adapting. Any thoughts?
So I'm going to give a non-technical answer. Kevin, you can give the technical answer, but I would say, people skills are not lost. Like, we still need people skills operating in the world of AI. And so, you know, being a good communicator, that's a essential, you know, and being curious is something that I've always found, and it's hard to interview for, but being curious, especially in some of these new companies, you don't know, you don't have the path, you don't have a job description or a standard operating procedure to go by. And so really being curious, and I think those skills are not lost. So for the youth to keep honing those skills.
Yeah, I would reinforce that. I mean, if somebody's looking for technical skills, a lot of the technical skills that you've learned in the past, including myself, which was coding, those jobs are going away. So when you're getting into that personal interaction, that's important. I always talk about apply NI. Don't worry about AI, apply NI. So natural intelligence. So you have to be able to think critically. You have to have that social interaction capability. You have to be curious, because it's not enough for the AI to throw something up on your screen. Somebody's got to pick up that nugget of information and start pulling on the thread. And that's the critical thinking piece that needs to come with the younger generation. I do have grandkids, and one of the big things that we're even getting our grandkids to think about is you need to have some thought process around what you're doing. You need to learn these skills. And a lot of the skills, the basic skills, are still mission critical as long as you can apply critical thinking. So take the math, take the English. Don't get AI to write your resume for you. Because that's the other thing, is that I can pick it up right away. Somebody sends me in something, I'm going right away. This came off of a boilerplate AI answer. Because if you look at large language models enough, like I've heard this over and over again, stop playing the same record. So those are some of the things that I tell people to keep in mind. There was human skills, still very important.
Agreed. I would really summarize it and sort of provide the perspective, embrace it. AI is not really taking your job. It's really an additional skill set you can add. And so embrace it as a younger generation, because it is exciting, and there is still a lot of very important critical thinking, as Kevin just mentioned, and Joanne alluded to as well, that really is going to, I think, be critical for that next generation coming up.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you to those out there who submitted your questions. We appreciate that. And if you are interested in getting to sort of kick the tires and test drive this technology, I have good news for you, because the folks at Charli AI are conducting limited trials of their automated analyst. And so if you'd like to join the waitlist to be part of that, you can go and register on the Charli AI website for the next phase of that product rollout. So maybe we'll wrap things up here. We went a bit over time. Thank you to everyone for your patience at the start as we fired up the generators to get the show started. Thank you to Joanne, Kevin, and Jett for your insights and for including me in this fascinating conversation today. I'm definitely walking away with a little more knowledge about multidimensional AI and certainly what it can do for Wall Street and beyond. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Charli AI. We'll wrap things up. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.